Okay. Empire of Silence by science fiction golden boy and debut novel by Christopher Ruocchio. Now, I know what you're thinking. James, that's not Empire of Silence. You're right. That's Howling Dark, the really good second book, or at least what I've read of it is really good so far. I was not able to get a hardcover copy of Empire of Silence because I slept on this series a little bit. I was hyped for it, but apparently not hyped enough to get my hands on one before they were $1 million on Amazon. So maybe we could just that's probably gonna be really cringe. Anyway, here we go. Empire of Silence, like I said, is the first book in the Sun Eater series by Christopher Ruocchio. And it follows Hadrian Marlowe, who, you know what? And instead of me making all of this up and trying to remember it off the top of my head, I'll just, I'll read the thing that, they published so that you don't have to make this stuff up when you talk about it. Hadrian Marlowe, a man revered as a hero and despised as a murderer, chronicles his tale in the galaxy-spanning debut of the Sun Eater series, merging the best of space opera and epic fantasy. It was not his war. On the wrong planet at the right time for the best reasons, Hadrian Marlowe started down a path that could only end in fire. The galaxy remembers him as a hero, the man who burned every last alien Cielson from the sky. They remember him as a monster, the devil who destroyed a sun, casually annihilating 4 billion human lives, even the emperor himself against imperial orders. But Hadrian was not a hero. He was not a monster. He was not even a soldier. Fleeing his father and a future as a torturer, Hadrian finds himself stranded on a strange backwater world. Forced to fight as a gladiator and into the intrigues of a foreign planetary court, he will find himself fighting a war he did not start, for an empire he does not love, against an enemy he will never understand. That pretty much encapsulates it. I actually really like that it talks about it being not just science fiction, but also leans epic fantasy. It really does read that way, which is nice for me because I definitely read a lot more fantasy than I do science fiction. And I like that it has kind of the flavor of fantasy, but in a science fiction world. So that's very well done. Hadrian in and of himself is an interesting character to follow, being that he's a contrarian in the society that he lives in. He doesn't necessarily agree with the politics of the time. He doesn't really agree with the station, with the lot that has been given to him. He has this mentor early on, Tor Gibson, who kind of romanticizes, and I guess Hadrian kind of romanticizes it for himself, this idea of becoming what's called a scholiast, which is someone who is, they're kind of like, I really feel like that they're a lot like mentats, maybe more on the philosophical side of like how mentats are in Dune, and less of like the just being human computers side of things. Ruocchio kind of wears some of those influences on his sleeve, but it very quickly becomes its own thing. And I like that a lot, like I was talking with people in the Discord about how, to me, and especially because I'm reading them at the exact same time, and they both take this kind of chronicle style where, the main character is kind of looking back on their life and telling you what happened as they remember it. So I was reading The Name of the Wind at the same time that I was listening to Sun Eater. And that approach just felt very similar, but it felt original. It felt his own. It didn't just feel like somebody read The Name of the Wind and was like, I'm going to do that, but in space. I'm trying to be somewhat vague in this review as far as the overall plot, because I think that it definitely is full of twists and turns, and goes in it. At every time I felt like that I understood where it was going, it would shift directions, it would shift gears. And it kind of always kept me on my toes a little bit, thinking, I would think, oh, okay, well, this is probably what's going to happen. No, something else completely comes out of left field. And those things those surprises, those twists that happen, they feel earned, they feel established. There's a lot of, again, kind of similar to Dune, there's a lot of house politics. Basically, he is from a noble house on this planet. And there's those kind of interrelational politics between the houses. And, his father is always scheming for I wouldn't say scheming, but maybe position. His father, by the way, I need to remember who said this, because there was somebody else who had been listening to the audiobook too in the Discord. Somebody in there said that Samuel Rowkin, whenever he is doing Hadrian's father's voice, sounds like Roy Kent from Ted Lasso. And that cracked me up, and I could not stop thinking about that. Every time he would do Hadrian's father's voice, I just thought of that Roy Kent meme. You know, he's here, he's there, he's everywhere. And that probably distracted me a little bit too. But I will say, just in general, the fact that this is a debut novel is just incredible. It's so polished. The prose is beautiful, but not overdone. Hadrian is an interesting and complex character. And there are side characters that get fleshed out as well, and that are interesting to read about. And I guess I could kind of use that to segue into, I'm kind of tacking on a little mini review of The Lesser Devil. The Lesser Devil hit for me. The Lesser Devil was very good. And while it is not mandatory that you read The Lesser Devil, from what I understand, from what everybody in the Discord is saying, from what I've read online and seen from other reviews, you don't have to read The Lesser Devil, but you really should. I really enjoyed it a lot. It adds a valuable perspective into the series so far. Just someone who grew up next to Hadrian and had just a very different perspective on who Hadrian was, even a contrary perspective to what Hadrian thought Crispin thought about himself. You know, that's really interesting to me, those sibling dynamics of, you know, growing up together with a sibling. You know, you kind of just think that you understand them. But until you really, you know, sit down and get inside their head or have a conversation with them about, you know, what growing up was like with them, you really don't. And I don't know if Ruocchio meant for it to go that deep, but I really, I thought it was a really cool story about brothers. I thought it was a really cool story about family and siblings, and that really struck a chord with me. I thought that was very impactful. And so, like I said, if you're just wanting to read the mainline series, you know, you do not have to read The Lesser Devil to complete Sun Eater, or to understand Sun Eater, I guess, to understand the whole series. But you really should, because it's a great little novella. This has been a little bit different of a video for me. I've been working really hard to try and get things set up to be a little more manageable, to be able to record a little bit more consistently. And so this review was kind of just set on the back burner. Usually I do like to write my reviews and form my thoughts. And so if I missed talking about something, I'm sure I did. Let me know down in the comments what you enjoyed about Sun Eater, if you're going to check it out. You know, what you liked, what you didn't like. Did you listen to it? Did you read it? And yeah, I think that's all I got. So I'll see you in the next one.